everyone, I'm JD from Willow Bound Journals. Welcome back to my channel. This is a video request from quite a lot of people wanting to know what are the basic or essential supplies that you need to make journals. And other people also wanted to know what are my favorite supplies to use to make my junk journals. So this will cover all of that. The first thing that you'll need is some sort of cover. So these are two of my favorite ways to make journals. The paper bag, it's one of my signature styles. And then we have a book cover. So the book cover journal is where you just get a book, probably from an op shop, strip out all the pages, and then you have a lovely cover there. Let me give you a couple of examples. So here is one that I've made using a paper bag cover. And here is one I've made using a book cover. I do have a video sharing lots of different ideas for covers you can use. Things like file folders, envelopes, you can do hardcover journals, soft cover journals using fabric. The hardcover one's made out of chipboard. You can use biscuit boxes and cereal boxes. You can decorate them in many wonderful ways. But that's the first basic thing you're going to need, is some sort of cover for your journal. The second basic thing you're going to need, let me just clear some of these things out of the way. We'll get to those eventually. The second thing you're going to need is some sort of paper. So you're going to need pages for your journal. What are you going to use? You could use blank pages, just, white paper like this, your copy paper. I have made journals just using white paper before. You could use vintage ledger paper, doily, envelope, paper bag, book pages, of course. We've got colouring in pages, got just some examples here: lined paper, coffee dye paper, vellum, tracing paper, music paper is always a great one to do. I do have a video sharing, I think it's already up. If it's not up, it will be coming, of all different paper types that you can use. There's just so many different papers you can add to your journals. One helpful tool to have, and one of my favorite tools to use, is a seam ripper. And this comes in handy when you want to take out pages from a book that has, your double page spread here. Usually, you rip out a page and it comes out as a single page. But if you have a seam ripper, you can just pick out the little threads from where the pages are attached to the spine and pull out your pages so that they stay intact as a double page spread. So this thing is super, super helpful, and you can get these, from just any local cheap shop. Sewing kits have them, and I love these. So it's not essential, but one of my favorite tools for sure. So put that in your little toolkit. Next, so you've got your cover, you've got your pages. Now you need to be able to bind them. So when I make my journals, I use the 3-hole pamphlet stitch method. I've got a tutorial on that as well. And here are the items to use for that. So you're going to need something to poke your holes with. Let me show you what the 3-hole pamphlet stitch looks like first of all. 1 hole here, 1 hole here, 1 hole there. And how you poke the holes is with your awl. And you can get these really cheap as like bookbinding kits on eBay. But I got this one just from a cheap shop. And you're going to need some sort of thread, twine, string. I have some wax linen thread here that I got from eBay. Oh, and some other embroidery thread. But my preference is to actually just use the embroidery thread. I like that it's nice and soft. And this one as well I just get from the cheap shop. And then you're going to need some sort of needle to be able to sew your thread through the journal. And I use a tapestry needle. So this has a large enough eye for my thread to go through, but not so large that it's going to leave giant, holes through my journal. And I really like this needle as well because it's not sharp, It's got more of a blunt tip to it, so that's super handy. I've tried a few different needles and this is one of my favorite ones. I think I would prefer one that's a bit longer. I have had a longer one in the past, but yeah, this one's really great. I got this one from Spotlight here in Australia. And then to keep your pages in place, it's handy to have some clips, maybe paper clips or bulldog clips. I use bobby pins. I use the long bobby pins so that they can catch all the places, and this just holds the pages in place, because when you're poking, you know, your awl through and trying to thread the thread through, the pages can move a bit. So this just holds them in center and keeps them all in place. Excuse me. I need to go grab a drink of water. So that just holds all of the threads in place and keeps the pages centered in the journal. Okay, and then that covers pretty much all you need for binding. Except I do want to show you one extra little thing here, which is a template. I just call it a template. Other people use different things. I've seen people use grid or graph paper to mark their template. But what I like to use is just, you know, a random scrap bit of paper. And I have quite a few of these for different journals. And you can see all my different holes, the middle hole, the bottom and the top. And this marks the edge of the journal cover. And I refer back to these all the time because there'll be a size that I need for any particular journal. I know that my chipboard journals needs to be this template. I know that my Reader's Digest journals need to be this template. I think I have another one. My pasta box journals needs to have this template here, and I've got different symbols to show me where each thing goes. I could definitely make a separate one for each one, but I'll share a tutorial on how I make that in a separate video if you would like. But basically I just get a scrapbook paper, fold it in half again, and mark my lines mark my holes just with a pen. So I should mention a pen is also handy. A pair of scissors, definitely. You might want to use a bone folder just to help with your creases and your folds, and a ruler. If you have a paper trimmer, you might not need a ruler, but yeah, that's how I rule where to place my my holes for my awl. If I'm doing a multi-signature journal, if I'm doing a single signature journal, I just eyeball it. I don't need to measure anything. So those are some extra little tools that come in handy. All right, that covers our binding. Next, if you've got a journal, you've got your cover, you've got your pages, you've bound it, you're done. That is exciting, right? But if you want to get a bit more fancy and add something like a closure, like this journal. So you can see here I've added a closure. Of course, you could just get a bit of ribbon and attach it around the outside, or you could glue it on the inside of the cover. But I like something that I know is not going to budge, so I'm using eyelets. So here are my eyelets. These are just metal eyelets that I get from Craft Online. I'll leave some links below and information in the description box with all of this, with all these details. And then for your closure, you can use, you know, ribbon, lace. I like using seam binding, sari silk, and I get this from Which Craft Do You Do, a shop here in Australia. And then the only other thing you need, a fancy tool. This is called a crocodile. This is the big one where you can reach further, but you can get smaller ones as well. And what that does is punches your hole and it crimps the eyelet, so it's held there in place. And that will give you a lovely closure. What I also use these eyelets for is to add a dangle. So let me show you that. This is a journal that I've made with an eyelet here. So again, just punch my hole there and crimp it, and then that allows me to have a dangle on the side of the journal, on the spine. And for that one, you could use embroidery thread any type of thread, but for that my favorite is to use the wax linen thread for the dangles. So that is exciting for that. If you want to add things like lace and charms to your journals, let me show you something like that. Lace is something that I love getting. I've gotten it from eBay, I've gotten it from BB Craft. And then as for charms, one of my favorite items to use for that is bulb pins. So again, I got this collection from eBay. I just liked that there were different compartments in different colors, and that's how I attach my charms. Lovely. You don't need to use these. This is why I'm saying it's like a favorite tool rather than an essential tool, because you can attach them with paper clips as well. So add paper clips to the favorites list. Paper clips are wonderful. I'm just trying to pick up some paper clips here to show you. You can attach your charms to paper clips. So I think that about covers all of my essential tools that I need to make a journal. Glue can be handy, and sewing if you want to, glue things on, stitch things on. If you want to decorate your cover, yes, obviously glue and some scissors to be able to decorate it, and any other supplies that you want, but that's all extra. That's all, in the details and the decoration, the embellishing. In terms of just your basic essential supplies, I hope I've covered that in this video for the journals that I make. If I've missed anything, feel free to put it in the chat, in the comments. If you have any questions, if you want me to clarify anything, feel free to check that out there. I'll try to remember to link all those tutorials to making covers, cover ideas, page ideas, binding, how to use the seam ripper, and all that kind of things. If there's anything else you would like to see, my aim here is to help you make your own journals at home in the easiest way you can, so that it's not intimidating and not scary. So if I can help with that, feel free to put a request or question down below, and I can come back and, either reply straight away, or I can also film a video if that's going to be helpful for you actually to see it and see the process. But yeah, I've got lots of tutorials showing how I make these journals as well. If you want to have sort of like a recipe, a method to follow from start to finish, making all different types of journals, paper bag journals, book cover journals. I've got journals on how to make the dangles, how to do the closures. Did I say journals? I've got videos and tutorials showing how I do that. I'm talking a million miles an hour because I've got a time limit with my video before the sun comes down and before the house gets very loud and busy. So yeah, hope you are doing really well. Hope this was helpful, and be sure to journal your life because your stories matter. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. A big thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in November. I hope you absolutely loved all of the extras this month. And if you would like to support me in December and get access to extra videos and printables, behind the scenes updates, and first access to any of my creations, the link is down below in the description box. The links are also down there to all of my journaling courses. The Reflections journaling course is running all through December if you would like to document your year for 2022. And if you would like to support my book fundraiser, the link is there to my GoFundMe page as well.